आदित्यः सविता सूर्यः खगः भूषागभस्तिमान् सुवर्णसदृशो भानुर्विश्वरेता दिवाकरः।
गच्छामि कराभाय हरये विश्वकर्मणे नमस्तमो विघ्नाय तुझये लोकसाक्षिणे। जयाय जय भद्राय हर्षवाय नमो नमः सहस्रांश आदित्याय नमो नमः आदित्याय नमो नमः।
On this red letter day of the Aditya Birla group of schools, as we celebrate the journey of 20 glorious years, with spirits soaring high, I feel euphoric and elated to take you through the transformation, sharing this digital platform with the architects of the Aditya Birla Group School Education as our mentors, the eminent personalities as our guest speakers, the former principals with their insight on the metamorphical journey, and with the galaxy of intellectuals, esteemed dignitaries, special invitees, friends, and well-wishers. The passion for education is not new with the Birlas. Raja Baldev Dasji Birla started a school in Pilani to educate his son Ghanshyam Dasji Birla about 125 years ago. With the same philosophical overtone, Mahadevi Birla Shishu Vihar was founded 80 years ago by the philanthropist Shri Basant Kumar Birla and his wife, late Srimati Sarla Birla, to educate Shri Aditya Birla ji. Isn't it true that a good leader awakens the sleeping spirits, quickens the indolent, encourages the eager, sharpens the blunt, motivates the heartless and hopeless, and steadies the unstable? In the year 2001, the Aditya Birla group of schools experienced a great awakening with the inception of Dr. Shamlal Ganguly, who indeed has played a vital role to resurrect the face of education in the Aditya Birla group schools. Let's traverse along with Dr. Ganguly, the Chief Education Officer of the Aditya Birla Management Corporation Private Limited, as he takes us through his professional walk of life.
I strongly believe that situations and moments that broadly govern our lives do not show us their significance until we start reminiscing them. My journey with the Aditya Birla Group gives me similar emotions to ponder upon. Now that I look back at where it all began in 2001, when I was selected as the Chief Education Officer of the group, a very interesting story unfolds. Having an exposure of a completely different professional space, I walked into the group with a lot of curiosity and excitement about what was in store for me. I was so new to corporate culture. However, in the 10 initial days of my introductory phase, I met the chairman, Mr. Kumar Mangalam Birla, Dr. Santut Mishra, and many other stalwarts in the industry house, and finally, Honorable Srimati Rajashri Birla ji, and instantly realized that I was in the right place. After making their acquaintance, I grasped and understood the philosophy of the group and made it a point to imbibe it in my own belief and value system. An extraordinary journey always embarked upon with an outstanding idea, and that was to conduct a principal's workshop at Gyanodaya, which was held on February 18, 2002. It was in this workshop that the idea of bringing all our schools under one brand got pitched in through my speech, which instantly got the chairman and Dr. Mishra's approval. Post this event, spinning this vision into reality was my only goal. Bringing together some schools which were under Bharatiya Vidya Bhavan happened smoothly, whereas on the other hand, the Delhi Public School gave us a rough road to travel on. Despite all hurdles, with Dr. Mishra's support and guidance, we overcame all obstacles without hindrance. By 2004, our goal was achieved and we brought all our schools under one big umbrella of the Aditya Birla Public School.
At this crucial juncture, let's retrace our steps to the epic year 2004, along with Dr. Ganguly, when the journey of transformation in the field of education was visualized, with the fulfillment of a dream turning into a reality.
Out of the many jewels that adorn the crown of Aditya Birla Group schools, the most precious one was established in 2004, that is Sarla Birla Academy. Under the impeccable vision of the chairman, we established Sarla Birla Academy in Bangalore. His vision was to dedicate a world-class boarding school to his illustrious and loving grandmother, Dr. Sarla Birla ji. The school is an architectural marvel, an institution that got everyone by awe of its grandeur. The magnificence and beauty of the buildings, the lush green spread over 57 acres, and the perfection of the entire site can never be put down through mere words. This, of course, came into reality because of our construction tycoons, Mr. Hafiz Contractor and Mr. Shapurji Palanji. We completed the project within 11 months with unstinted support of the chairman. The inaugural function was one to remember forever. We were blessed with the presence of esteemed luminaries like Mr. B.K. Birla, Dr. Mrs. Sarla Birla, Mr. Kumar Mangalam Birla, Srimati Rajashri Birla, Mrs. Manjushri Khaitan, Mr. Ashok Ganguly, and Mr. Narayan Murthy as the chief guest. The journey of Sarla Birla Academy will always remain a special one, as there were numerous challenges on the path, but that's what made me learn and grow.
Let me reiterate the fact that the Aditya Birla Group of School, located at various units under the franchise of numerous educational bodies, existed as isolated islands and functioned with closed mindset and rigid attitude, therefore unable to think or have the broad outlook as nation builders. The first workshop of principles, held at Gyanodaya on the 18th of February 2002, provided us with the opportunity to unlearn and relearn, a befitting forum to help us come out of the cocoon of our imperfections. Looking beyond breaking barriers and restrictions across socio-cultural diversity, the need to bring all the educational institutions across the Aditya Birla units under one flagship was desperately felt. To address this, GHR education was conceptualized and initiated with the vision of Mr. Kumar Mangalam Birla, Chairman, Aditya Birla Group, Dr. Santrupt Mishra as the pioneer, and Dr. Ganguly taking the lead as the torchbearer, which was a major breakthrough in the field of education. The gracious presence of Srimati Rajshri Birlaji, with a soft and gentle disposition, has always been a source of inspiration to all of us. The abiding trust she has reposed in us has facilitated us to place our best foot forward.
Kumar Mangalam, Dr. Santrupt Mishra, Dr. Ganguly, parents, our teachers, our support staff, students, and distinguished guests. It's great to connect with all of you on this very special day, a day of celebration backed by decades of glory. Decades that have seen us evolve in the universe of education through our splendid schools and the stratospheric heights that we hope to reach as we go forward. We have an excellent heritage. Let me begin with a true story. Our Birla family's tryst with education dates back to 120 years. In that distant past, our ancestor Raja Baldev Daji Birla started a school in Pilani to educate his son Pujya Dadoji Ghanshyam Daji Birla. Education at that point in time focused on basics of maths, accounts, weights and measures, and the Hindi script. A smattering of English, enough to help send telegrams. In a manner of speaking, we can liken it to the first primitive business school. Pujya Daoji took the mantle way forward. Throughout the 1920s, he set up a large number of primary schools in Rajasthan. Subsequently, Pujya Ma, Dr. Sarla Devi Birla, and Pujya Kakuji, Shri Basant Kumarji Birla, started the Mahadevi Shishu Vihar for Aditya. Since then, Aditya and my son Kumar Mangalam have deepened our group's imprint in education. More importantly, values-based education. Let me recount some of our conversations on education, which I am confident will resonate with all of you, because in my mind, you are all working on these very precepts. In our view, the entire experience of going to school, of education, of learning, is something that children are excited about. We have defined our purpose, our vision, as that of igniting minds and creating the love for learning, of helping every student reach his full potential and equip him or her to emerge as the first among their equals when he steps out in the real world. So over the past several decades, our path has been very transformative. More so in the last 25 years with Dr. Santrupt Mishra in the saddle, heading Group HR, and of course, now much more. Together with the chairman of our group and with Dr. Ganguly, there began a process of the evolution and revolution of education, contemporarizing it, redesigning the learning process. Alongside you, all of our principals have ensured that it's not just the bricks and mortar that make our schools stand out uniquely. You have translated the deep beliefs and values at the ground level in our schools. You have stretched every nerve to impress upon these so much so that they now course through the veins of our students. Your unflinching commitment, your great dedication, and the engagement of parents, the support of HR, the unit heads, and Dr. Ganguly's immense involvement have collectively enriched the legend of the Birla schools. You have all shaped our schools, and you will take it to the next stratosphere. For this, to all of you, a big heartfelt thank you. You, dear principals and teachers, don multiple hats: guru, philosopher, guide, like a second parent. There is an inner aspiration to be a role model, a leader to be remembered for life. So, thinking of what's next, I recall the wise words of the 10th century Zen master Fushan Yuan. He said that the three essentials of leadership that will always stay the course are timeless. First, humanity; second, clarity; and third, courage. Humanity is being humane, sans ego. The greatness of humanity, as Mahatma Gandhi said, is not in being human, but in being humane. This entails kindness, compassion, and love. As Mother Teresa says, and I quote, "Love cannot remain by itself. It has no meaning. Love has to be put into action, and that action is service." Unquote. So let's enhance the service quotient. Clarity implies clarity of purpose, the direction set to achieve the purpose, creatively and innovatively with a sense of fairness. Clarity, Yuan said, and I quote, "distinguishing the right from the wrong," unquote. At the end of the day, clarity is setting your conscience as your watchman. Moving on to courage, it is a courage of conviction, the nerve to ask why, regardless of the consequences and the environment, the courage to be curious, and the dare to be different. Practice these precepts even more. Education is about assuming responsibility in the society and creating a future that will all be proud of, a future for posterity. Thank you and God bless.
How the noble venture and the fruition of the aspired dream of Srimati Birla ji came alive is captured in the journey of Dr. Ganguly, who's keen to share his insight with us.
I was about to complete the school at Viraval when I got the message from Bombay that I will have to establish a school at Mathura. Srimati Rajeshri Birla ji nurtured a dream to gift a school to Brajvasis in the fond memory of her illustrious parents, Srimati Parvati Devi and Sri Radha Kishan Fomra, who were ardent devotees of Lord Krishna. This is how the seeds of Parvati Radha Kishan Fomra School was sown. The dream passed into the reality of action when one fine morning I got a call from Mr. B.L. Shah sharing Mrs. Birla's dream to start a school at Jattipura Govardhan. Initially, a low budget primary school was planned. However, I convinced Mrs. Birla that since the school is in the fond memory of her parents, it should be a dream school in the real sense of the term. She readily accepted the proposal, and thus began another beautiful journey. After identifying a suitable plot, which was a very difficult job in the scorching and ruthless heat of June 2005, I dived into the project fully charged. For some important reason, Mrs. Birla desired to complete the project in 12 months. Though it was difficult to put the resources together in a place like Mathura, but my response again was, "No issues, ma'am." The construction team worked tirelessly day and night with focus on cost, quality, and time. With unstinted support from Mrs. Birla, the project was completed in all respects, that is, construction, staff recruitment, admissions, etc., in 11 months. To everyone's surprise, the registration for admission was more than 1,600, and ultimately 750 students were admitted. Finally, the inaugural lamp of Parvati Radhakishan Formula School was lit on the auspicious day of April 14, 2007, among chanting of Vedic mantras, followed by lavish cultural program. The school was blessed by the luminaries like Srimati Parvati Devi Formra, Mr. B.K. Birla, Dr. Sarla Birla ji, Dr. Santrut Mishra, and several members of the Birla and Formra family. Everybody made a unique and special contribution in making this dream project a grand success. Mrs. Birla's conscientious efforts, personal involvement, dynamism, discipline, and commitment bore rich fruits. I clearly remember Mrs. Birla flying thrice from Bombay to see the run-through of the cultural program to be put up by the students on the day of the inauguration. It is rare to see the students perform so efficiently even before the school started. No words will be enough to describe the feelings of Srimati Parvati Devi Formra for her illustrious daughter Srimati Rajashri Birla. Happiness and unspoken gratitude was visible in her eyes, the gesture that spoke volumes about being a proud mother, showering tons of blessings on the institution. Some journeys don't have endings. They lead to a new beginning. Journey Parvati Radhakishan Formra School is one of them.
Isn't it true that obsessed with a burning desire and the urge to beat the best, the CEO Dr. Ganguly has over the years indefatigably traveled extensively to each and every school, interacted with the students, motivating them, shared a common platform with the staff, revitalizing them, and has addressed the parental concerns, thus reaffirming their unshakable faith in our chain of schools. The senior principals of the Aditya Birla Group School, who have been a part of this incredible journey, still reminisce their unforgettable bonding. Our former principal, Mrs. Savrikar, bears testimony to the quantum leaps we have collectively ascended in our journey towards excellence.
Namaskar. I take delight to connect with all of you on this virtual mode to celebrate the 20 glorious years of the journey of excellence of the Aditya Birla Group Education. As I recollect the journey and transition of Vidya Mandir to the Aditya Birla Public School with all of you today, I feel nostalgic. The school that I headed, BVB's Vidya Mandir, was rechristened not once but twice. Late Sriyat Aditya Vikram Birla ji visited the school in July 85. A few years later, it was renamed as BVB's Rashtriya Vidya Mandir, and then in 2006, it was again changed to ABPS after the inception of GHR education with Dr. Ganguly as the CEO. The very thought of the school to be functioning under the Aditya Birla flagship aroused a feeling of belonging in all of us. We happily plunged into the process of change. The ABPS banner gave a facelift to the institution with a makeover of the ambience and work culture. Guidelines and systems were put in place. Administration thus became transparent and easy. Under the ABPS, vital importance was given to infrastructural development and improved facilities. The staff felt happy and valued with better pay and perks, especially housing. Students were provided with plenty of opportunities to develop their hidden talents through the interzonal sports and cultural meets, and the principals were empowered with the leadership skills during the annual principals workshop at Gyanodaya. In my tenure of 23 years as principal, I had an opportunity to work with 11 chairmen, 9 secretaries and 10 treasurers. I was fortunate to work with ABPS but only for few years, and feel extremely honored to be bestowed with the prestigious Chairman's Award, that too after my retirement. I am deeply grateful and indebted to the top management and to Dr. Ganguly ji for the indelible mark ABG has inscribed on my voyage of life. Thank you.
While we impart education to match the advancement in technology and globalization, we take care to march our children ahead with ethos of moral values and principles, to be sent into a larger world as catalysts of social change and as ambassadors of goodwill. The group has given utmost importance to the capacity building and upscaling of principals. Eminent personalities in the field of academia, like former chairman CBSE, Mr. Ashok Ganguly, is connected with us this evening to share his vast experience as an educationist.
It is my privilege and honor to share some of my thoughts about the journey of Aditya Birla Group of Schools through this platform. It reminded me of the year 2002 when I was chairman of CBSE and got to know about this group of schools providing quality education through Dr. Shyam Ganguly, who had started looking after these schools at that time and later on was instrumental in creating this brand. I am glad to have contributed my little bit while the group was in the process of executing a strategic decision of bringing all their schools, including their franchise school, under one banner, the Aditya Birla Public Schools. It was heartening to know from Dr. Ganguly about the vision, mission, and the core philosophy of these schools. I ensured that they must get wholehearted support from CBSE for this smooth transition. Today I am glad to see that all their schools not only stood by their vision and values and created a niche for themselves, but also synonymous in ensuring quality educations in the school education sector. They are now one of the best brands in India in the school education sector.
The performing arts in education provide students an opportunity to engage body, mind, and emotions, a collaborative expression of all that it means to be human. The Aditya Birla Group of schools are highly sensitive to the magical impact of performing arts. To further strengthen this belief, the group exposes principles to renowned personalities like Gulzar Ji, the person who's an institution in himself, an accomplished lyricist, poet, author, screenwriter, film director, and an ardent admirer of the Aditya Birla Group schools. Having an opportunity to meet him in person is a dream come true.
जैसा कि मुझसे बात हुई थी श्यामलाल गांगुली जी से बात हुई थी, तो मेरा रिश्ता पूछ रहे बिरला स्कूल्स के साथ खास तौर पे, तो मैंने उन्हें बताया कि बिरला स्कूल्स की और बिरला फैमिली की ये ट्रेडिशन एजुकेशन और शिक्षा की तो बहुत पुरानी है, क्योंकि बचपन में आज़ादी आने से पहले के कुछ साल जब मैं एमबी मिडिल स्कूल दिल्ली में पढ़ा करता था रोशनारा बाग के पास, उस जमाने में हमारे बिल्कुल बगल ही में बिरला मिल हुआ करता था एक, और उस बिरला मिल के सामने बिल्कुल बिरला हाई स्कूल था. दैट वाज अ हाई स्कूल. मैं मिडिल स्कूल में पढ़ रहा था. उस जमाने में हमारे क्रिकेट मैचेस हुआ करते थे बिरला स्कूल के साथ. तो मेरी यादाश्त बिरला एजुकेशन, बिरला स्कूल्स की ट्रेडिशन के साथ इतनी पुरानी है, और मैं जानता हूँ कि हमारी नेशनल मूवमेंट में कितना बड़ा हिस्सा है बिरला परिवार का. लेकिन ये आदित्य बिरला ग्रुप स्कूल जो आपका 2002 में शुरू हुआ है, इनके साथ भी मेरी एक ट्रेडिशन रही है कि मैं जाता रहा हूँ. आपके वो प्रिंसिपल्स के जो वर्कशॉप हुआ करते थे उसमें भी गया था मैं, ज्ञानोदय में. और क्योंकि राजश्री जी के साथ भी मुलाकात हुई है, आर्ट और कल्चर के कामों में वो बहुत हिस्सा लेती हैं, और कुमार मंगलम जी के साथ भी मुलाकात होती रही है और जानता हूँ उन्हें. और मैं मुबारकबाद देता हूँ आपको कि आपने ये जो 20 साल पूरे किए हैं, ये एक और लड़ी शुरू की है आपने उस पुरानी ट्रेडिशन से लेके आज तक की. और इस मौके पर जबकि आप एक एनिवर्सरी मना रहे हैं 20 साल की, मेरी तरफ से मुबारकबाद कबूल कीजिए आप सब लोग. और इनका शुक्रगुजार हूँ मैं गांगुली साहब का कि उन्होंने इनवाइट कर लिया इस मौके पर मुझे. और बस यही कह सकता हूँ कि विश यू ऑल द बेस्ट एंड कैरी ऑन दिस ट्रेडिशन. हिंदुस्तान में बच्चों को शिक्षा की बहुत सख्त जरूरत है और बहुत दूर तक अभी जाना है, बड़ा लंबा रास्ता है. मुबारकबाद आपको, बहुत बहुत मुबारकबाद.
One can have a glimpse of the number of activities supporting and admitting the sincere efforts towards preparing our students to be leaders and masters of their own destiny in a multicultural, kaleidoscopic world. The unique feature of the senior management of the Aditya Birla Group schools is to identify and promote the talent within. We have leaders like Mrs. Bushra Rani, ex-principal, who has grown and evolved within our talent pool.
Hello everyone. It's indeed a privilege to share with you all my memories of the last 2 decades on this great day. So please join me down the memory lane. The 20th century came to a close. Then the new millennium brought with it winds of change. With the inception of the group HR education, it planned to transform its academic scenario in sync with the changing times and to transfer these plans into solid reality. There appeared a personality, a distinguished personality, an educator par excellence and a harbinger of change. Yes, that was Dr. Shyamlal Ganguly, Chief Education Officer, GHR, whose dynamic and central leadership brought a change, a revolution, a complete metamorphosis that was to change the face of the group schools in years to come. Dr. Ganguly, with his keen insight, selected and chose the best performers from schools and assigned them bigger responsibilities, higher challenges, and senior posts. To put it humbly, I was among the first few chosen ones and was sent to the Ultratech Cement Unit School. The switch over from LNT-DAV to ABPS was a tough thing, a real challenge, but a fulfilling one. It gave ample opportunity to me and my team for exploring new avenues and lent an air of freshness to herald this new renaissance. The biggest gift of this new revolution was the multidimensional upgradation of the teachers in both personal and professional life. It made them happy and feel an important part of the mainstream. They felt secured, motivated, worked hard, and performed better. The ongoing teachers' training in Gyan Sagar PRFS Mathura led to their continual growth and enhanced the overall effectiveness of the schools. New promotion policy and successive plans expressed and expanded a whole new outlook to the group's teaching fraternity. Performance became the mantra for success. Transfer of principals and later on teachers within group schools added new dimensions to our personalities. For example, I myself faced varied problems first in Renusagar, then Hirmi, then Ravan, and then Mathura. And I believe it all toughened us, widened our mental horizons, and gave us a chance to prove our mettle. I am overwhelmed to see hundreds of my fellow teachers today walking tall and proud as ambassadors of ABP Group. Deserving recognition and rewards did this magic. We all felt motivated and ascended to the ladder of success. Memories are endless, but time limited. Friends, remember, this precious legacy is to be further strengthened and carried forward. With immense gratitude to the Almighty, all unit managements, all members of the group, and all my colleagues, I end up with these words, दिल से हर काम किया दाद मिली शाद रहे दिल से हर काम किया दाद मिली शाद रहे है दुआ अपना ये गुलशन सदा आबाद रहे. Thanks and God bless you all.
The philosophy and value system of the group attracts best of the talent. The schools do have leaders who shifted from topmost schools of the country like Wellams and enjoyed being part of Team ABPS, Mrs. Mamta Singh being one amongst them.
Greetings of the day and congratulations to all on this occasion to celebrate the glorious journey of the Aditya Birla Group of Schools. 2 decades of excellence in education, challenges, achievements, successes, new benchmarks, the list is endless. The ABG schools have grown and flourished not only in number but also in reputation under the able, dynamic and practical leadership of Dr. Ganguly, who understood the educational needs of this vast and diverse country and worked tirelessly to address those needs. I am indeed honored and delighted to speak about my association with the group. The opportunity to head the school at Indo-Gulf Fertilizers Jagdishpur UP came my way on a cold, very cold evening of Dehradun in January 2013 when I received a call from Dr. Ganguly. Having spent almost 22 years at Welham Girls School Dehradun, a premier all-girls residential school, no doubt this offer came with its fair share of apprehensions, doubts, questions, uncertainties, and even the displeasure of some of my family members. But we all know Dr. Ganguly, don't we? And his persuasive skills. So, armed with his good wishes, reassuring words, encouraging words, I landed in Jagdishpur in July 2013. My head full of public school ideas to implement, changes to bring about, etc., etc. What awaited me took me completely by surprise. The verdant, peaceful, beautiful township of Indo-Gulf Fertilizers just bowled me over. The progressive attitude of the management, the warmth and simplicity of the children, the exceptional talent of the staff, the ethos, philosophy, the values of the group. It was indeed an eye-opener for me. I was in for some serious unlearning and relearning. The Birla family has always believed in the holistic development of the mind, body and soul, and it is in the school that you find it in abundance, a spirit of inclusion, a culture which celebrates differences, a culture which embraces change and remains undaunted by what is difficult, sound values which propel our students to a meaningful existence, to strive to excel in every walk of life.
Distinguished academicians and public servants have been a part of the principal's workshop. A few have visited our schools as well, Dr. Manisha Priyam being one of them.
Morning, this is Dr. Manisha Priyam from the National Institute of Educational Planning and Administration, Ministry of Education, New Delhi. I greet everyone and commend the Aditya Birla Group of Schools on the completion of an important milestone in the history of Indian education, and for these institutions, the completion of 2 decades of their being, 20 years of the Aditya Birla Group of Schools. The Aditya Birla Group of Schools are very dear to me for the educational values that they uphold, are values that the founding fathers of this country have held very much. And I am reminded of the Gurudev Rabindranath Tagore and his dictum that the purpose of education is the very whole. The purpose of education is to create that butterfly who's the wanderer, who has the free spirit and who's one with nature, but not the silkworm that is looked only for the benefits that the silkworm will have in the marketplace of ideas. For the Gurudev, education was about creating that mind which is without fear. For the Aditya Birla Group of Schools, and I have now traveled the length and breadth to interact with many of their schools, their principals, their teachers, and a very important educational coalition that guides the educational activities and the very life of these schools. For them, the values that the Gurudev upheld, the nationalist values of education, are at the front and center of their educational endeavors. A few years ago, before the COVID crisis struck humanity on a global scale, I was a part physically and not virtually as I see you today of the Radhika Devi Fomra school, part of the Aditya Birla group of schools in Mathura. Now, going to Mathura for a school day function seemed like a small endeavor, going as I was from a big town, Delhi. But I can tell you that the vibrant campus life in Mathura at the Aditya Birla group of schools, the facilities that had been imagined to be true facilities for a wholesome education for children in Mathura were absolutely outstanding. And to say the least, education comprised the whole: the arts, the aesthetics, the literature, the sciences, the history, and the energy of the students, the sports, the creativity. I can go on, and the list is endless. But I was struck by the fact that each and every wall of the school is adorned by local artists. The library is rich and vibrant. I was taken around to classrooms still, and I went to classrooms 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. I can tell you, full of history projects that students had done, full of science projects that students had done, the Petri dish where there was a live bacteria, the life of science, the life of reason, the life of argument, the life of critical inquiry was the very being of the Aditya Birla group of schools in Mathura. So I am proud to say that the Aditya Birla group of schools truly lives and aspires to build the foundational values of education, which is critical inquiry.
The driving force behind overcoming all the intermittent hurdles triumphantly, thus surging towards the unbeatable feat on the path of excellence, has undoubtedly been the unflinching guidance and constant expert advice of Dr. Santrapt Mishra.
Hello everyone, thank you all for coming together to celebrate 2 decades of our education portfolio and celebrating the establishment of Aditya Birla Public Schools. Many of you may not know that this vision started from a very short interaction of mine with Professor Amartya Sen in the year 2000 perhaps, when I was an Eisenhower Fellow in the US. I happened to ask Professor Sen that what can companies like Aditya Birla Group do more for India? And his answer was that you have always been strong in education and you could use that as a vehicle to do more for India. That when it struck me that we had so many schools at that time, I can't recall, perhaps 36 or 37 schools or maybe fewer. And we perhaps could do a lot more using them as a platform. That is when we decided to create the role of Chief Education Officer, and that's when Dr. Ganguly joined. And we decided then to perhaps build our own brand of education under the aegis of Aditya Birla Public Schools. Today, after 2 decades, to see 51 schools with 45,000 plus children studying in 13 states of India, it makes me feel proud that a small idea, a small interaction has led to such profound impact on Indian society and generations of children. Of course, it is not just creating a position or a brand that created it. It is you all as teachers, the dear students in the schools and the parents and our unit management all working together have made it possible. I congratulate all the teachers for your commitment, your sincerity, your development for the holistic and all-round development of our children. I compliment the parents for believing in our schools, and I certainly congratulate and compliment all the children for being the citizens of a new world, imbibing the new spirit. And we saw that despite the pandemic, our process of education has continued. I know it has been difficult. I know everybody does not have infrastructure, but I want to appeal to all students and children and to parents to say that infrastructure constraints have never held back the quality of education of people in this country. If you look at people like me we were not products of really of great infrastructure. But I think it will be a great tribute to your achievement, despite the constraints, if we can keep the flag of Aditya Birla public schools and all other sister schools flying. For that, we will continue to require excellent standards, high quality teachers, great teaching methodology, and a global outlook. I would also sincerely want to thank Dr. Ganguly for a single-minded commitment to build the education portfolio, to build the Aditya Birla public schools, to build the brand, to build the teaching community, and to build the pipeline of principals and teachers throughout our schools to keep the flag flying. We are on a solid foundation. I hope you will all work together to keep this flag flying and take the schools to greater glory as years come by. I congratulate once again for you all to come together to celebrate this milestone. I hope there will be many more milestones for us to celebrate. Thank you and God bless.
Vision is the art of seeing the invisible, rightly says Jonathan Swift. Vision is the picture of the future that produces passion. Undoubtedly, it is the vision coupled with passion that makes one unstoppable. With the Aditya Birla Public School Bhubaneswar, which stands out as an embodiment of the architectural magic. ABGS valiantly stands out to commit to nurture leaders with vision, sagacity, and sensitivity.
Dr. Santut Mishra always wanted to establish a school in his home state, Odisha. Aditya Birla Public School, Bhubaneswar, is the dream project of Dr. Santut Mishra. The vision of this dream project started rolling when he asked me to finalize the site out of the 4 proposed sites. After a lot of deliberations, the present site was selected not only for scenic beauty in the backdrop, but also for being the proposed hub of education in future. The project work of Bhubaneswar School took off in 2016. 25 acres of land was procured. The procurement of land was an uphill task, full of challenges and teething problems. As they say, the path towards excellence is never smooth. The administrative challenges from the government and issues raised by the land losers continued unabated. The delayed the project and the project related activities like identifying contractor, planning, horticulture, etc. were in progress. However, in the end, things turned out, as they call it, all is well that ends well. With rigorous efforts of the group and continuous liaising with the government officials, the battle was won. Architect firm S.K. Chatterjee and Associates was identified and clearly instructed to design the building keeping in view the functional architecture. Dr. and Mrs. Santut Mishra and Mr. and Mrs. Rabindra Mishra performed the Bhumi Pujan in March 2014 and the work started in earnest. Experts were hired for designing furniture, horticulture, furnishings, etc. Finally, the inaugural lamp was lit on the 5th day of March 2017 in the presence of luminaries like Honorable Chief Minister Mr. Naveen Patnaik, Srimati Rajeshri Birla, Dr. Santut Mishra, bureaucrats and parents. Everyone present was highly impressed to see the unique marvel of architecture of Aditya Birla Public School, Bhubaneswar, with old British architecture, a perfect ambience for holistic learning. Dr. Mishra's personal involvement and perseverance, despite lots of administrative hassles, encouraged me to remain in high spirits and overcome intermittent hurdles. The entire magnificent journey was an outcome of deep contemplation, reflection, and inspiration.
The unbeatable milestones achieved in the construction and renovation of schools over the 20 glorious years will keep you spellbound as I unfold them to you in a chronological order. The Sarla Birla Academy, Bangalore, was established in the year 2004, the Aditya Birla Public School, Viraval, in the year 2006, Parvati Radhakrishnan Formula School, Mathura, in 2007, the Aditya Birla Public School, Kotputli, in the year 2008, the Aditya Birla Public School, Raigada, in 2011, the Aditya Birla Public School, Muri, was rebuilt and relocated in the year 2011 as well. The Aditya Birla Public School, Bhubaneswar, started functioning in the year 2017, and the Aditya Birla Public School, Rihala, was rebuilt and relocated in the year 2020. Dr. Ganguly, as a visionary leader, with his unfathomable commitment to the Aditya Birla Group, has certainly created a truly learning organization with his penchant for learning. He never considered himself to be an employee. He rather belonged to the organization and held the organization close to his heart. As we stride through the arduous yet exhilarating journey, we feel enthralled as the urge and passion to turn every vision envisaged into a reality did come true with a journey of 20 long years of devout dedication and diligent determination. For nearly an hour, we have been devouring upon the imprinting magic moments of the significant and sublime journey. As we come to the last segment of the journey, let's sit back and see what Dr. Ganguly has to spell out. I'm sure you will testify that every step of the journey undertaken and every Herculean task accomplished over the past 20 years was a joyous occasion of celebration and jubilation. I conclude with a quote of John C. Maxwell. Teamwork gives you the best opportunity to turn vision into reality.
While sitting back and reflecting on the entire path that was traversed in the process, I realized that the road to success was never a smooth sailing, but it was always fulfilling. I enjoyed every bit of the journey, and I continue to enjoy it and will readily plunge in with equal zeal if I have to do it again. This was possible because of constant support of the chairman, Mr. Kumar Mangalam Birla, Srimati Rajeshri Birla, and my mentor, Dr. Santrut Mishra. They not only paved a smooth path, but also made this voyage in the sea of education obtainable and thoroughly enjoyable. The flame of quality education lit about 125 years ago by Raja Baldev Das ji continues to spread like a wildfire. The legacy never ceased to flow even down to the 5th generation of the Birla family. Passion for education being in the very DNA of the Birlas. The journey towards excellence in education will undoubtedly continue unbounded. At this point, I am reminded of the famous lines penned by the poet Robert Frost.
The woods are lovely, dark and deep, but I have promises to keep, and miles to go before I sleep, and miles to go before I sleep.
जिस तरफ भी चल पड़े हम मामला पाया ने शौक, खार से गुल और गुल से गुलसिता बनता गया। मैं अकेला ही चला था जानिबे मंजिल, मगर लोग साथ आते गए और कारवां बनता गया।